please.
you know what? We're the best team in the American League with what we've done. And then it's just a crapshoot in the best of 7 against any team in the National League. Do you buy that they're the best team in the American League?
I think they're in the mix. The American League is just kind of middling now. I mean, if we look at it, the Orioles haven't done a whole lot. Like Charlie Morton, Tyler O'Neill, Tomoyuki Sugano. It's not the guy that they needed to replace Corbin Burns. Boston is a demonstrably better team, but they were 500 last year. And I think the Red Sox in 2026 are going to be terrifying because by then Roman Anthony and Christian Campbell and Marcelo Meyer are likely to be up complementing this group that has Garrett Crochet and added Walker Buehler as well this year. But this year, yeah, I think the Red Sox are like a borderline playoff team. The Rays are going to be good. They're going to be better. The Blue Jays right now, I don't know what the hell they are. In the Central, does Cleveland scare you? Does Kansas City? Does Detroit? Does Minnesota? Not really.
No.
And out West, Houston traded its best player in Kyle Tucker. Seattle hasn't done crap. Texas has gotten better. And I think the Rangers, who remember won the World Series 2 years ago, they're a threat. But the American League right now is so wide open that, yeah, the Yankees can say that they're the best, but I don't think they stack up to certainly not to the Dodgers. And you can make an argument that the Phillies are better than them, the Braves are better than them. The Diamondbacks, after adding Corbin Burns, are right there, if not better than them. Like a lot of National League teams have supremacy over the American League right now, Michael.
I would agree. I think the American League has turned into the NBA's Eastern Conference, and I mean that's just the way it is. But all you have to do is get out of that league and go to the World Series. So you mentioned all the teams in the National League that could be better. You only have to beat one of them in the World Series, right?
No doubt. And at the same time, though, and the thing that gives me hope that Major League Baseball is not going to turn into this sport where the same team is winning every year. And listen, as somebody who lives in Kansas City and is a season ticket holder, I'm perfectly fine with the Kansas City Chiefs being that. But for the health of an overall sport, that's not a good thing. I think that the playoffs in baseball are such an equalizer, Michael. You know that the best team doesn't always get out of the division series,
Right.
let alone the league championship series, because in baseball, it's not whether you're better or worse, it's whether you're hot or cold. And you just got to get hot at the right time, and there's really no predicting that. The Yankees got hot at the right time last year, and then they got cold at the wrong time, and that's how you lose a World Series in 5 games.
Here's my biggest concern, because I love the sport so much, and I assume that you do as well because you make your living in it. I just think that there's such a separation between the Dodgers and others, and forget about the Yankees and the Phillies and the Mets, but just the others, just the teams that don't spend like that and can't, that this is going to lead to a work shutdown where the owners are going to insist on a salary cap, where every other league has it, every other league is thriving. Do you see it the same way? And also, do you see that other owners are going to force Major League Baseball to have a draft of Japanese players rather than all of them going to the Dodgers?
Well, I'm not sure, first off, that every other league is thriving necessarily due to a salary cap. Let's acknowledge that the other 3 major men's professional sports in North America all have had work stoppages more recently than Major League Baseball, right?
Yes.
Let's look at the revenue in Major League Baseball, up to $12 or $13 billion a year. And the question for players is, are we getting our rightful cut? And I also don't think that a salary cap is necessarily the thing that brings parity to Major League Baseball. Now, I get that the Dodgers have an unfair advantage because of their revenues, but let's also look at revenues versus spending. The Dodgers are willing to put their money where their mouth is. They're willing to go out there and spend on players. And that is something that, not only in a place like Baltimore or Tampa or Pittsburgh or Colorado, like there are plenty of organizations that do not go out there and spend comparative to their revenues. So I think this is as much a system issue and an owner issue as it is a Dodgers issue. The Dodgers are just taking advantage of the rules that are on the table right now. And if you want to argue, Michael, that the rules that are on the table right now are not conducive to a healthy league, I don't entirely disagree with you. But I also don't think the rejoinder from Major League Baseball, which is going to be we need more restrictions on the top, necessarily correspond with a healthier league. I feel like if you're going to put more restrictions on the top, you better put more incentives on the bottom for those teams to go out and spend, because a healthy league is one in which all 30 teams are participating and trying to win. And a lot of these teams right now looking at the Dodgers saying we feel like we can't compete with them. Well, maybe actually try to compete. And then we can see if that's the case. And if that's the case, then yeah, you're going to need to change the rules. You're going to need to change revenue sharing. You're going to need to do things to find that balance that is so difficult to strike. But Michael, there's not going to be a salary cap. We're going to lose a year of baseball if that's the line in the sand that Major League Baseball is drawing. It's as simple as that. And I think there's just too much money for everyone to make to let the pursuit of a salary cap stand in the way of the success of this sport long term.
Well, just before you came on, I made this point. The Bills and the Chiefs drew 57.7 million viewers on CBS on Sunday. The Bills could not exist in Major League Baseball, and this is nearer to where you are. The Chiefs, the Kansas City Royals could not be great for 7 years in a row. The system doesn't allow it. They would not be able to pay all their players to do it.
I disagree with you on that. I think they can. I think it's just more difficult. We can't say the Bills would exist, by the way, Michael. Like, come on.
Buffalo? Buffalo
yes,
would have a team in Major League Baseball? Green Bay would have a team in Major League Baseball?
Yes, I think that places that have passionate fan bases can have teams in Major League Baseball.
But they wouldn't get money from a regional television network, Jeff.
Well, and that's part of this, right? The disparity between television networks.
Yes.
And it's not just the Dodgers, it's the Yankees, it's the Mets, it's the Cubs, it's the Red Sox. It's all these teams that own and operate successful regional sports networks, whereas the rest of the regional sports network industry has had the bottom drop out from under it because of cord cutting. And MLB right now, if there is an existential crisis that it's facing, it is how do we operate fairly when there's such a disparity in television contracts. And look, Rob Manfred has said explicitly he wants a 30-team package. He wants every team to be involved in this. But if you're the New York Yankees, why the hell would you say yes to that?
Right, or the Dodgers or the Mets.
Yeah, absolutely. Why would you give up what you have right now? So if there's a fight that's going to be going on, it's not just between Major League Baseball and the Major League Baseball Players Association, Michael. There's going to be some internecine warfare on the owner side as well, because they are going to be clawing and scrapping for every dollar they can in what's going to be one of the most important negotiations that there's been in baseball in decades, which is how do you figure out how to solve this television crisis?
And that's why I feel that any negotiation between the Players Association and Major League Baseball is the toughest because, as you said, it's not just the owners against the players. It's the owners against the owners against the players. Pittsburgh wants what the Yankees have, and the Yankees aren't going to give that up.
No doubt. And the Yankees, the Yankees understandably don't want to give that up. They have built something. And look, you could have a failure in a big market. If they did not build out as well as they have, then it's going to fail. We've seen that with other regional sports networks before, but the Yankees have done a good job of leveraging this property that they built from the ground up. And now you're going to come to them and say, because you've been successful, you have to give more money to these teams that have shown an unwillingness to compete, and just pocketing their profits. It's a ridiculous conceit. And so if there need to be more strictures in place in order to hold the Pirates and the Marlins and the A's and these other teams that don't go out and spend accountable, then you should do it. But beyond that, Michael, let's look not just at the teams at the lower level, but let's look at the Boston Red Sox and the Chicago Cubs. These are teams with high revenues that still are not spending right now.
Right.
And Tom Ricketts coming out and saying it's hard to compete with the Dodgers, playing with the world's tiniest violin. I do not want to hear about the poor Chicago Cubs. Stop it. Stop trying to treat us like we're stupid. We're not. We understand how this thing goes. And if you want to use the Dodgers as an excuse, that just makes you look smaller and even worse than you are.
Jeff, I don't know if we're talking with Jeff Passan here on the Michael K. Show. You know what the key to the success of the Yes Network was, right? Their play-by-play guy.
Michael K. on play-by-play, of course.
It's really, really important. People don't realize that, but at least you do. You're so smart, and you get it. You get it.
Perceptiveness, Michael.
Bregman end up back with the Astros, you think?
If you gave me $1 and said I have to bet it, yeah, probably. But it's by no means a fait accompli at this point. And I also wonder what it does to the Astros. Like, are you telling me that Isaac Paredes at second base and Jose Altuve in left field with the Crawford boxes out there is a good idea defensively? I don't know about that, man. And so the possibility of Bregman moving to second base, I think that's out there, and I think that probably, if he resigns there, would be the better move. But at this point, Toronto needs something. They need someone. Anthony Santander is not enough. So I'm going to keep the window open there for Bregman. I don't think Boston's particularly likely to happen at this point. Detroit makes a lot of sense just in terms of young team, leadership, relationship between Bregman and A.J. Hinch as former manager in Houston. That part, though, it's not very conducive to his swing. So I think at the end of the day, Houston probably makes the most sense for him. But if he's not going to take the 6 for 156 on the table, is Jim Crane, the owner of the Astros, going to budge? At this point, he's shown absolutely no likelihood to do so.
Yeah, he doesn't seem like a budge guy. Final thing, are the Padres really considering trading King or Cease?
Yeah, I think that it's a possibility, but let's also remember their general manager is A.J. Preller, and he considers everything a possibility. The Padres, it's a sad state of affairs there right now. You know, Peter Seidler, if he were still alive right now, I think there's a really solid chance he would have signed Juan Soto long-term in San Diego. Right. Like, it's kind of wild to think about what Peter Seidler's very untimely and early death, what sort of demonstrable effect it had on the course of Major League Baseball history, because the Padres were ready to go all in on everything under him. He wanted to win. End of story. And now instead, his wife and his brothers are in a fight over the ownership of the team right now. They haven't signed a single player this winter. They missed out on Roki Sasaki, who they've spent years and years courting, and hoping that he was going to come to San Diego. And instead, of course, he goes to the Dodgers. And now I think they're just trying to figure out how to put together the best team, not just for 2025, but beyond. And when your two best pitchers in Michael King and Dylan Cease are both free agents after this season, you have to at very least consider, if you're looking toward the future, moving one of them and seeing what you can do. So is it a possibility? Yes. Is it going to happen? Far too premature to say so.
Jeff, great stuff. I could talk to you for hours, but that's not fair to you. So I thank you for coming on for the time that you have. Appreciate it.
I would enjoy a multi-hour conversation, Michael. We'll have to do that sometime. I'll come in and be the special guest.
I'd love it. Tell me when you're in New York. Let's do it.
Looking forward to it. See you, pal.
All right. Be good, Jeff. That's Jeff Passan. Great stuff from him.